The frontier was quiet. Too quiet for this stretch of Concord space. Captain Elias Vance stood at the Resolute's forward viewport, hands clasped behind his back. Out there, the twin suns of Ardent's reach bled pale gold into the void. The patrol was supposed to be routine, 1 human warship, 3 alien frigates, all running a standard sweep. Nothing worth writing home about. The silence broke with a single word. Contacts. Lieutenant Imani said from tactical, her voice clipped. 8? No. 12 ships, vectoring in fast from high orbit. The hollow display bloomed with red icons, each tag with a jagged crest of the X-Wire Condominion. Cut comms chatter, Elias said. They'll be listening. One of the alien captains, a long-necked Darren named Tulloch, spoke over private channel, his voice trembling. Human, we must withdraw. Those ships will shred us. Elias studied the tactical overlay. The Dominion ships were heavier, bristling with plasma cannons. They were also confident, coming in wide, assuming the patrol would scatter. We're not running, Elias replied. Form defensive wedge. The Resolute will take point. Tulloch hesitated. You'll die first. That's the idea, Elias said and cut the channel. He turned to Imani. Bring us 40 degrees starboard. Shields forward. Ready pattern Delta 5. She glanced at him. Delta 5? That's a little aggressive for a welcoming party. Let them think they've got us on the defensive. The Dominion ships opened fire first. Green lances of energy ripped through the dark, slamming into the Resolute's shields. The deck shuddered, but the defense grid held. Shields at 86%, Imani reported. Elias leaned over to the comms officer. Tell the frigates to match our vector and keep tight. We're pulling them into a funnel. Outside, the starfield shifted as the Resolute swung toward the smaller of the twin suns. The Dominion, seeing the maneuver, pressed harder, tightening their arc. On the bridge, the tension thickened. The alien crew on the other ships were no doubt panicking, wondering why the humans were diving toward a star instead of running away from the threat. Their closing range to optimal, Imani said. Good, Elias replied. Lock the stellar hooks, just in case. She froze. Sir, that's an order. In the weapons bay, deep in the belly of the ship, massive magnetic anchors began aligning, invisible to the enemy, tuned to the chaotic tides of the star's corona. The Resolute wasn't just a warship. It was a scalpel for the impossible. The enemy formation tightened, green plasma flaring against the shields. A Dominion cruiser broke forward, eager for the kill. Signal from Captain Tulloch. Comm said, he's demanding to know why we're approaching the star. Tell him to watch and learn. Elias dropped into command chair. Pattern Delta 5. Full burn on my mark. Mark. The Resolute surged forward, its flanking frigates matching speed. The lead Dominion cruiser bit the bait, cutting directly into their path. At the last moment, Elias ordered a snap roll maneuver, letting the cruiser overcommit. Imani teeth. The Resolute's forward batteries lit up, ripping into the cruiser's shields with surgical precision. Explosions cascaded along its hull as the alien ship spun away, venting atmosphere. The Dominion formation faltered. Elias seized the moment. Frigates, break left. We go right. The split confused the attackers, their fire scattering between targets. The Resolute dove closer to the sun, the stellar surface now a roiling wall of gold and crimson. One of the enemy captains opened a wideband hail. The voice was deep, almost amused. Human captain. Reckless. Predictable. You flee into the fire. Elias smiled faintly. You should worry about what's in the fire. A murmur went through the bridge crew, a mixture of unease and anticipation. The hooks were ready. One command from Elias, and the star's fury would become theirs to wield. Not today. Helm, cut toward shadowside orbit. Elias ordered. Imani, give them a taste, nothing more. The Resolute's aft batteries roared to life, laying down a precise barrage. The hits didn't destroy ships, but they forced the Dominion to break pursuit, unwilling to risk drifting too close to the star. Contacts falling back, Imani said. Looks like they're regrouping. Elias nodded. They got what they came for, which is, he glanced at her, information. For a moment, the bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines. Everyone knew what he meant. The Dominion now suspected the Resolute could dance too close to a star without burning up. That alone would keep their analysts busy. Comms broke the silence. "Sir, we have an encrypted packet, unknown origin." Elias straightened. On screen, the hollow flared to life, revealing the elongated, chitin-plated form of High Strategos Virethal. His black eyes reflected no light. "Captain Vance," the Stratego said in a voice like grinding stone, "you pilot a curious vessel. It turns tighter than it should. Its shields endure more than they should. And you steer it toward a star as if you have no fear." Elias kept his expression neutral. "Some of us like the heat." Viereth tilted his head. "Enjoy your games, human. When next we meet, I will know your ship's secret, and I will take it." The feed cut without warning. Elias exhaled slowly. "Helm, set course for rendezvous with patrol route. Comms, inform the frigates we're resuming standard formation." Tulloch's voice came back over the channel, still edged with disbelief. "You could have gotten us all killed." "Could have," Elias said, "but didn't." He muted the channel and turned to Imani. "Log everything. And triple encrypt the hook readiness records. No one outside this ship needs to know how close we came." As the Resolute swung back into the cold quiet of deep space, the gold light of the star faded behind them. The enemy was gone for now, but Elias knew the game had only just begun. Some secrets burned brighter than the suns themselves, and humanity's brightest spark was one the galaxy would never see coming. The Concord Council Hall was carved from obsidian and glass, a sphere suspended above the storm-racked surface of Arctes. From orbit, it gleamed like a polished eye, always watching, always judging. Captain Elias Vance stood at the edge of the chamber, posture straight, uniform immaculate. He wasn't here to speak. Humans were still observers in the council, not full participants. That suited him. Watching was often more valuable than talking. The council floor below seethed with voices. Dozens of alien delegations debated the latest frontier incident, his incident, each twisting the facts to suit their own interests. "A breach of patrol protocol," barked Counselor Cage from the daring cluster, his long neck swaying as if to punctuate each accusation. "The humans pulled us toward a star during hostile engagement. This is madness." Across the floor, a Virelian delegate flicked its crystalline fingers dismissively. "Or brilliance." The Dominion broke off pursuit. "Results matter." "That maneuver was reckless," Cage insisted. "Unless, of course, it was intentional." The word hung in the air. Intentional. Dangerous. Elias kept his expression still, though his mind was already running scenarios. They'd seen too much. The Dominion wouldn't need to lie. The Council would invent their own suspicions. A soft voice spoke at his shoulder. "You're enjoying this far too much." Elias glanced sideways. Ambassador Mardelin, Earth's envoy to the Concord, stood beside him, draped in the neutral gray of diplomatic service. Her eyes held that familiar mix of warning and amusement. "Watching them guess wrong is its own reward," Elias murmured. "Careful," she said. "If they guess right, we both end up in a cell." On the floor, the debate shifted. Counselor Varek of the Karate, all spines and rust-red armor, slammed a clawed hand onto the speaking dais. "I have reports from my border scouts." Varek growled. The XY Archon had been probing deeper, testing responses. "And now this human vessel appears, defying both physics and reason. I demand a technology audit." Half the chamber erupted in support. The other half jeered. A karate audit was political shorthand for strip a ship to its bolts and take what we like. Elias leaned closer to Mara. "If they push that vote—" "They won't," she said. "Too many still think we're harmless." Elias caught the faintest smirk. "You're sure?" "I make it my business to be sure." Before he could reply, the chamber lights dimmed. The central dais rose from the floor, carrying the high speaker, an immense Savari elder whose translucent skin shimmered with shifting light. Silence fell. "We will not," the high speaker intoned, "sanction a unilateral audit of a human vessel. The incident remains under review. All parties will submit tactical records for independent analysis. That last sentence was a knife. Independent analysis meant Concorde intelligence analysts would pore over every byte of Resolute's sensor logs. Mara's voice was low and sharp. Get your files clean before they arrive. They already are, Elias said. I run this ship expecting spies. Her look was skeptical, but approving. The session dissolved into smaller disputes. Mara touched Elias's arm. Walk with me. They left through a side corridor, the council's noise fading behind them. The hallway's crystal panels refracted light into shifting rainbows, making every movement seem fluid, almost unreal. You're about to have a bigger problem, Mara said without preamble. Our intelligence channels intercepted a burst from Dominion territory. High Strategos Vireth himself is directing an operation to track the Resolute. Elias frowned. He was at the frontier. This is personal now. It's worse than personal. We believe he's already placed assets inside Concorde jurisdiction, possibly on ships. Concorde ships? Elias asked. Mara met his eyes. Or yours? They stepped into a smaller chamber, her private office on Arctes. She closed the door, dimmed the wall panels. You need to keep the hooks quiet, she said. No activation unless there's no other choice. If they catch even a hint of the Supernova program, it's over. I'm aware, Elias said, but if VRF corners us, then you disappear, Mara said flatly, and you make sure the Resolute disappears with you. He studied her face. That's a hell of an order. It's not an order, she said. It's survival. A chime broke the moment. Mara's console lit with a flashing seal. She opened it. A secure text feed scrolled across the screen in sharp, alien glyphs. Her eyes narrowed. One of our contacts just went dark. He was embedded in the Dominion's forward reconnaissance fleet. Elias didn't need translation. They're accelerating their timetable. Get back to your ship, Mara said. Now. The Resolute floated in geosynchronous orbit above Arctes, a shadow against the stars. Elias stepped onto the bridge and immediately sensed a shift in atmosphere. Conversations were tight, clipped. Eyes darted toward him. Report, he said. Imani was at her post, jaw set. We picked up a coded transmission spike from Deck 7. Short burst, non-Concorde encryption. Origin? Elias asked. She shook her head. Couldn't pin it before it cut. Whoever sent it knew exactly how long they had. Elias considered that. Deck 7 housed engineering stores and one of the auxiliary sensor nodes. A perfect place to pull data unnoticed. Lock it down, he said, quietly. Imani hesitated. You think we've got a leak? I think Vireth doesn't guess, Elias said. He finds. 2 hours later, the suspect sat in the brig, a lean, four-eyed Charon technician who had shipped aboard with a Concorde maintenance team 3 weeks earlier. His hands were cuffed, his gill-like neck slits fluttering in agitation. Elias stepped inside the cell. You had a good cover. Routine work. Background clear enough for Concorde security. But you made one mistake. The Charon bared his teeth. And what mistake is that? You got curious about things that aren't on any maintenance schedule. Silence. The alien's pupils narrowed to slits. Elias leaned in. Who's paying you? The Charon chuckled, low and rasping. Payment is irrelevant. All that matters is the Stratego's nose. Elias's voice cooled. Knows what? That you hide a sun inside your hull. The phrase hung in the air like a blade. Imani's breath caught behind him. Elias straightened. Put him on ice. No one outside this deck learns about that phrase. Back in his quarters, Elias sat alone, staring at the star map projection slowly rotating above his desk. The Dominion's frontier worlds glowed crimson. Between them and the Concorde core were only a few thin lines of stars, and one of those, Resolute's path. VRF was closing in. The Council was watching. And now there was proof, however small, that their greatest secret had been named. Elias keyed the comm bridge. This is Vance. Prepare to break orbit within the hour. I want a course plotted along the fringe, minimal traffic lanes. and keep the hooks cold. Yes, sir, Imani's voice replied. He ended the call and sat back. The shadows around him felt thicker now, the light from the star map dimmer. Rumors were already spreading. Soon, they'd be more than rumors. And when that happened, the galaxy would come hunting. The Resolute drifted at the edge of an unnamed binary system, its hull lights dimmed to avoid detection. The twin stars burned far apart, one pale blue, one deep red, casting fractured shadows across the bridge. Dominion signatures at 2 light minutes. Imani reported quietly. 3 destroyers, 1 heavy cruiser. Holding position. They're pretending to patrol, but they're watching us. Elias studied the holomap. The enemy's formation looked casual at first glance, but the spacing was deliberate. A net tightening around a single point. They're not here for a fight, Elias said. They're here to keep us still. Why? Asked Lieutenant Bren, the helm officer. If they wanted us gone, they'd hit now. Because VA Reth wants to know how we move, Elias said. And we're not giving him that. He keyed to comm, engineering, status on drive masking. Chief Yates answered. We got the signature suppression running at 98%. To their sensors, we're a rock. But if we power the hooks or push the main drive, they'll see. Elias nodded to himself. So we played a rock. For the next 6 hours, they drifted in the shadow of the red star's corona, systems running on minimum. The enemy didn't close in. They waited. It was a patience game, and VA Reth was betting the humans would blink first. A chime broke the silence. Comm's Officer Riley spoke, without turning from her console. Incoming transmission. Encrypted Dominion origin. Put it through, Elias said. The hollow bloomed with the tall, armored shape of High Strategos Vireth. His mandibles flexed in what passed for a smile. Captain Vance, Vireth said, we find ourselves in an interesting dance. You, hiding in the shadow of a dying star. Me, watching you hide. Elias leaned back in his chair. If you're enjoying the view, I'm happy to stay put. I am enjoying it, Vireth replied, because prey that hides is prey that fears being seen. Elias's tone stayed even. Fear and caution aren't the same thing. You should try the second sometime. The Strategos tilted his head. Your vessel moves like no Concord design. It withstands pressures no human alloy should. The question is why. You think too much about questions, Elias said. Sometimes the answer is simple, we build well. Perhaps, Vireth said softly. Or perhaps you carry something the galaxy has not yet imagined. The connection cut, without warning. Imani muttered, That's not a bluff. He's certain. He's certain enough to keep watching, Elias said, which means he's certain enough to spring a trap. They didn't have to wait long. 30 minutes later, the Dominion ships shifted formation, splitting into 2 arcs. The cruiser stayed back, while the destroyers began sweeping in a slow convergence pattern, a herding maneuver. They're pushing us toward the binary's midpoint, Bren said. That puts us in the open. Which means they've got something waiting there, Elias replied. Plot an alternate vector to the debris field around the blue star. Sir, Bren said, that debris field's unstable. We could take hull damage. That's why they won't follow us in, Elias said. Do it. The Resolute slid into the debris field, weaving through jagged chunks of shattered moons. The pale blue light refracted off their edges, turning the cockpit view into a shifting kaleidoscope. But the Dominion wasn't as cautious as Elias hoped. 2 destroyers broke formation and pursued, their hulls sparking as smaller fragments scraped along their shields. Persistent, Imani said. Desperate, Elias corrected. VA Reth doesn't want to lose sight of us. On the tactical display, the second arc of Dominion ships began shifting to cut off their exit path. It was a closing claw, and they were in the center. In the wardroom, Elias gathered Imani, Yates, and Riley. The hollow map of the system flickered in the center. They're not here just to box us in, Elias said. They're streaming our movements live to Dominion Command. Every turn we take, every time we cut the drive, they're recording it. So what's the play? Yates asked. Elias pointed to the unstable blue star. We use the electromagnetic storms in its corona. The interference will mask our burst if we fire the hooks, but only for a few seconds. Imani's brow furrowed. If we do that, they'll know something happened. The question is whether they can prove what. Exactly, Elias said. We're not showing them the full weapon. Just enough to convince them chasing us isn't worth it. They threaded deeper into the corona's interference zone. Plasma arcs leapt between debris fragments, painting the void with electric fire. Shielding hummed under the strain. The Dominion destroyer stayed in pursuit, scorched, battered, but relentless. Range closing, Bren said. They'll be in firing position in 30 seconds. Elias took a breath. Hooks to half power. Aligned to the star's pole. On my mark, 3, 2, mark. The ship's hidden systems woke in silence. Massive magnetic tethers reached invisibly into the star, latching onto the ferocious pull of its plasma flows. Even at half strength, the Resolute felt the surge, like holding on to a hurricane. Dump it forward, Elias said. A burst of concentrated stellar energy rippled outward, masked by the corona's natural chaos. To the naked eye, it looked like a random flare. But the Dominion ships took the full force across their forward shields. Contact 1 disabled. Imani called. Contact 2 breaking pursuit. Elias let out the breath slowly. Cut the hooks. Returned to masking. When the Dominion ships finally regrouped, they held their distance. The Resolute drifted again, hidden in electromagnetic noise. VA Ref didn't hail this time. They're not pulling back entirely, Riley said. Just watching. That's fine, Elias said. Let him watch nothing. Hours later, Elias stood alone in his quarters, reviewing the sensor logs. Even stripped of classified details, the data still showed the flare's timing. VA Ref was clever enough to notice. That meant this wasn't over. The door chime broke his thoughts. Imani stepped in, closing the door behind her. He's not going to stop, she said quietly. No, Elias agreed, but he's not ready to attack either. He wants proof. What happens when he gets it? Elias looked out at the starfield beyond the viewport. Then we stopped being prey. The brig smelled faintly of ozone and cold metal. The captured Charon sat motionless on the bench, hands bound, eyes unblinking. Elias stood just inside the cell, the steel door sealing out the rest of the ship. You've been quiet, Elias said. That's fine. I have time. The Charon tilted his head. I told you what matters. The Strategos knows. You told me what you were told to say, Elias replied. Big difference. The alien's lips curled in a thin smile. Believe what you like. The net is already closing. Elias stepped back. Enjoy your solitude. The door slid shut, cutting off the Charon's voice. On the bridge, Imani looked up from her station. We just got a council priority signal. Flagged urgent. Elias joined her console. The message scrolled in tight diplomatic code. Council session convened in response to Dominion accusations. Evidence submitted. Censored data implicating Resolute in prohibited stellar manipulation. Elias read it twice before speaking. They've gone public. Riley swore under her breath. How did they get data that clean? We scrubbed everything. Unless someone gave them something we didn't scrub, Imani said. Elias nodded slowly. And that means the leak isn't just in our brig. By the time the Resolute reached the secure Concord relay, the encrypted packet from Mara Delin was waiting. Her voice filled the briefing room, clipped and cold. The Dominion's delegate presented hollow footage at the council. Your ship inside the corona of a star, tether readings overlaid. The claim is that humanity has developed Class X stellar weapons in violation of Concord treaties. Yates leaned forward. They can't prove it's us. Could be simulation. Mara shook her head. They don't have to prove it. Enough factions want to believe it. This has become political fuel. What's the vote? Elias asked. They're debating an inspection order. It's a compromise between the Karate demand for seizure and the Varelian motion to ignore it. If it passes, a Concord inspection team will board your ship. That's not happening, Elias said flatly. I agree, Mara said, which is why you need to act before the vote finalizes. You have two options. vanish beyond the frontier, or create a narrative strong enough to make the inspection politically impossible. Meaning, Elias asked, meaning a demonstration, in a way the council can't condemn without condemning themselves. Yates frowned. You want us to use the weapon? Not openly, Mara said, but visibly enough to scare them into deciding the Dominion is the bigger problem. Elias thought for a moment. That's dangerous. So is losing the only ace humanity has? Mara said. The decision didn't take long. Hours later, the Resolute was burning toward the Hellion Rift, a sparse starfield on the edge of Dominion space, dotted with unstable dwarfs. Imani kept her eyes on the tactical plot. Dominion fleet is here in force. 12 ships, Vieretha's cruiser at the center. Riley's voice was low. He wants a kill recorded. Elias stepped forward. Then we give him a recording he won't survive. The first salvo came without warning. Concentrated plasma fire from 3 destroyers. The Resolute rolled hard. Shields flaring. Damage to port array. Yates called. Return fire, Elias ordered. Target their sensor masts, blind them. The Resolute's battery spat precise bursts. 1 destroyer reeled away, losing its forward array. Vieretha's voice cut across wideband. Captain Vance, you can't run from the truth. The galaxy will see what you are. Elias keyed his mic. They'll see something. Strategos. Question is, will you? The battle pressed closer to the rift's unstable star. Its surface writhed with violent convection currents, sending arcs of plasma into space. Perfect cover. Hooks primed, Imani reported. Elias kept his tone even. Half power. Enough to make it look like the star's doing the work. The magnetic tethers engaged, latching into the star's turbulent field. Energy surged into the ship's reservoirs, invisible beyond the distortions of the corona. Dumb forward, Elias said. From the outside, it looked like a massive solar eruption. A wall of plasma and charged particles erupted outward, engulfing the lead Dominion ships. Shields collapsed, hulls scorched. 2 destroyers went dead in space. Riley grinned. That'll make the news feeds. Keep firing, Elias said. Make it look like we're just riding the storm. Vieretha's cruiser held his position, shielded by smaller ships. He wasn't retreating. He was recording every second. Imani glanced at Elias. If he survives this, he'll know. He already knows, Elias said. We're just deciding who else guesses. As the star's flare faded, the Resolute broke away, diving into the rift's dense plasma streams. The Dominion ships hesitated. Some damaged, others unwilling to risk following into the storms. Contact loss on 6 of 12, Imani said. The rest are holding distance. Elias tapped his console, opening a tight beam to Mara. You want to watch the Concord feeds in about 10 minutes. 2 days later, the council floor was a different battlefield. Karate delegates shouted for sanctions against the Dominion for reckless military action near unstable stars. The Varelians spun the event as proof of human ingenuity in the face of aggression. Even the Darren were calling for restraint until facts are verified. No one mentioned an inspection. From the observer's gallery, Elias caught Mara's eye across the chamber. She didn't smile, but she gave the smallest nod. Message received. Back aboard the Resolute. Imani joined Elias on the bridge as the stars of Concord space rolled by. That bought us time, she said. Elias kept his gaze on the viewport. Time's all we ever buy. The rest we take. And Viereth? He'll be back, Elias said. But next time, he won't be looking for proof. He'll be looking for payback. The thought didn't worry him. It sharpened him. Because when that day came, there would be no more masks, shattered or otherwise. Silent in a way only the deep void could be. Every sound muffled by the black vacuum outside, every breath inside the Vanguard's spear carried a weight of finality. The Supernova drive was primed, its containment field trembling on the edge of collapse. Captain, the helm officer murmured, voice tight. If we're going to do this, it's now or never. Captain Rourke stood with his hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on a massive holographic projection of the Jatari dreadnought dominating the view ahead. The enemy ship's profile looked like a barred harpoon aimed straight at their hearts. "They think we're bluffing," Rourke said quietly, almost to himself. "Good. Let's keep it that way until the last second." From the tactical pit, Commander Amani's voice cut through. "They've stopped transmitting demands. Weapons charging. They mean to finish this." The Vanguard spear shook under a distant kinetic barrage. Shields dipped, then flared back. The enemy was testing them, probing, sensing weakness. The crew looked to Rourke, waiting for the one command that would decide whether they lived or became the first footnote in an interstellar obituary. "Status on the second Supernova ship?" he asked. "Horizon Breaker reports ready. Link drive calibration at 97%, Amani replied. "They'll detonate in sync." Rourke exhaled slowly. Two suns in the same sky. He shook his head, almost smiling. They'll never see it coming. Far across the void, inside the alien dreadnought's command chamber, Warlord Kevvor loomed over his advisors. The human ships were scarred but defiant. This was supposed to be a swift annihilation, yet every hour the humans bled them with precision strikes, unpredictable feints, and that cursed stubbornness. "End them," Kevvor snarled. "Strip their hulls to atoms. I want their bones orbiting this world." But he didn't notice, he couldn't, that deep within the humans' twin flagships, the drives were being pushed beyond all known tolerances. Back on the Vanguard spear, Engineer Vance's voice cracked over comms. "Captain, we can't hold this charge much longer. If we wait too long, the field might." "We wait," Rourke said. "Every second we delay, they commit more ships into the kill radius." The tactical screen lit up. 3 more Jatari war cruisers dropped from warp, sliding into the formation around their dreadnought. The trap was closing, on them or on the aliens, no one could yet say. "Helm," Rourke ordered. "Advance at 1/4. Keep our nose pointed straight at their command ship. Let them think we're suicidally stubborn." "Yes, sir." Time stretched. Every heartbeat was a drumbeat to the inevitable. The alien formation tightened, their hulls reflecting the pale light of the system's dying star. Rourke opened a private channel to the Horizon Breaker. "On my mark, Captain Thorne." A woman's voice answered, steel in every syllable. "We've got one shot, Rourke. Let's make it legendary." The alien dreadnought fired first. A beam of blistering white carved toward them, only to shatter against the Vanguard shields, stripping another 20% from their reserves. Shields at 45. Amani called. Rourke didn't flinch. Mark and 5 for the Ritu. The humans' twin ships detonated their drives in perfect sync. The first supernova went off like a newborn star, screaming into existence. White gold plasma flared outward, swallowing the void in blinding light. The second went off a heartbeat later, doubling the wave, folding it over itself, creating a cascade of energy that physics had never been meant to tolerate. The Jatari ships didn't have time to run. Their shields boiled away in microseconds. Hulls turned molten, then vaporized entirely. Inside the alien dreadnought, Kevvor had just enough time to realize what he was seeing before the light reached him, before everything he knew burned away. When the glare faded, the Vanguard spear and Horizon Breaker floated in the debris field of what had been the most feared fleet in the quadrant. Silence again. But this time it was victory silence. Rourke stood on the bridge, looking at the scattering of cooling fragments drifting like ash across the stars. "Status." Amani's voice carried a rare, unguarded awe. "No enemy contacts. At all. Sir, they're gone." "Not gone," Rourke said. "They'll rebuild. But after this," he let the thought hang, "after this, they'll remember what happens when you back humans into a corner." Later, in the War Council chamber aboard the Vanguard spear, representatives from allied worlds stare at the tactical replay. "You destroyed an entire fleet," one alien envoy whispered, "with 2 ships." Rourke met the being's gaze. "We didn't destroy them because we wanted to. We destroyed them because they left us no choice. That's the thing no one told you about humanity. We don't start the fight, but we finish it." No one in that chamber doubted him.